About a month ago, everyone's favorite flying type specialist Birdkeeper Toby made a video titled 151 Reasons Why I Love Pokémon. I thought it was quite a fun video, and so it inspired me to do the same thing, only instead of giving you 151 reasons, I'm gonna do 10% of that because I ain't animating a half an hour long video. I've been playing Pokemon ever since Generation 1, so only picking 15 reasons was quite a difficult task, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and maybe I'll make 9 more videos like this and you'll get your 151 reasons that way. Very clever idea. I know. But now, let's start with probably one of my all-time favorite things about Pokemon, looking at what Pokemon other people decide to use during their playthroughs. When you battle competitively online, it's fun to see what kind of strategies your opponent likes to use, but I think it's far more interesting to see what Pokemon someone decides to use during their playthroughs, since people tend to more use Pokemon that they personally like than what are necessarily strong Pokemon. For example, a bit over a year ago, I was in the middle of a Platinum playthrough when I discovered that a college friend of mine was actually also in the middle of a Pokemon Diamond playthrough, and so we decided to battle. It was a lot of fun, even though I lost, but my favorite part was just seeing what kinds of Pokemon she decided to put on her team during her journey. One of her team members was a Girafarig, which, as we all know, is not really the strongest Pokemon out there, but she didn't care, she just used it because that's her favorite Pokemon. When you battle online, almost everyone just uses the same ones because these are more competitively viable, which is understandable of course. But there goes nothing above a friendly battle with Pokemon you like and bonded with on your respective journeys, even if it does mean getting your ass kicked by one of the weakest Pokemon in the game. Moving on. Number 2. Being able to transfer old Pokemon from previous playthroughs into Sword and Shield and play with them in Pokemon Camp. I don't know about you, but I always love these silly features such as Pokemon Camp and Pokemon Me where you can just interact with your Pokemon. And now, in Pokemon Camp you can play with up to 6 Pokemon at the same time and even watch them interact with each other. It really brings back memories from when I played the old games, even though the time I actually used these Pokemon was 7 years ago, like my original X team you see here. Or at least those that were able to be transferred into the games after the whole National Dex thing. And hey, my Pokemon seem to be enjoying it quite a bit too. I have never seen a Lycanroc this happy before. Or maybe it's just broken, I don't know. Number 3, friendship evolutions. Despite this being all about happiness, I know not everyone loves these kind of evolutions, but I surely do. It makes these Pokemon just that little bit more unique, since they don't end up all evolving at the same level or point in the game, so everyone has different stories with them. For example, I remember a long time ago in primary school, me and my friend were both playing Pokemon Platinum and both had a Togepi on our team. Togepi is one of those Pokemon that evolves with happiness, so it took a while before it evolved, but when one of them did, oh how amazing that was. His Togepi evolved earlier than mine though, and I kind of wondered why, because I love my Togepi very much as well. Oh wait, you're low health again? Eat this energy root, potions are too expensive, you little— Number 4, Galarian Zigzagoon. Because it's adorable. Look at it, it's great. Hashtag Zigzagoon for President 2020. Number 5, the release and hype of Pokémon Go. So, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Pokémon Go, might make a video about it later, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. But there's no denying that the release period of these games was absolutely insane, with people running around everywhere just catching Pidgeys, Caterpies and Weedles left and right because there was nothing else to find. You could just be walking around on the streets, doing your thing, and suddenly you hear someone scream, "Hey, what team?" Team Instinct! And then they beat the crap out of you because nobody ever picked Team Instinct, and okay, that story might not actually be true, but the obsession people had over these games was pretty amazing and kinda scary. Definitely subscribe for that Pokemon Go video. Number 6, episode 77 of the Pokemon anime, where you had Ash's Pikachu fight a random Bellsprout during the Pokemon League and lose. I had this episode on DVD and watched it countless times back when I was a kid because I just loved seeing such a silly Pokemon as Bellsprout being a total badass and almost single-handedly defeat all of Ash's Pokemon. Definitely one of the top 10 fights in all of anime. Moving on to number 7, Eevee. I just think it's really cool that it has so many different evolutions. Like one of your friends or rival in game might get an Eevee, but at that point you still have no idea what evolution it's eventually gonna turn into. And it's not like they just have different types. No, they all have different stat distributions and ways of fighting as well. For example, Vaporeon is great defensive and can heal your other teammates using the move Wish. Jolteon has great special attack and speed and therefore makes a great class cannon. And Flareon is really cute. Be sure you look at it for a little while before you casually evolve your Eevee into something else, because its stats kinda suck. Next, number 8. Have you ever seen a shape like this somewhere and thought to yourselves, hey, that's a Pokeball? Even though it's just a coincidence and was definitely not designed to reference a Pokeball. I love seeing those in random places and just think to myself, that's a Pokemon reference. For example, you might just be watching a random YouTube video like, hypothetically of course, 8 most haunted, abandoned asylums in the world. Don't judge me on what I watch on this platform, okay? And in that video, you might just see a pathway in the garden shaped like this, and you're just sitting there like, that's a Pokemon reference. No, it's not. Number 9, Love Balls. But not any kind of Love Balls, no! Generation 2 Love Balls. Because in Generation 2, instead of giving you a higher catch rate if there are 2 Pokemon of the opposite gender, it gave you a higher catch rate if they were of the same gender. It's just really cool to see Pokemon being so progressive in such a unique way even all those years ago. Now, moving on to number 10, and don't worry, I'll get a little bit more serious again. Finding out what Pokemon live in each route. Nowadays, when I do a playthrough, I usually think of what Pokemon I want to use that time, look up where to find them, and proceed to play it out that way. But back in the day, when the internet was still just a little baby, I just used to run around in the grass for hours on end, looking at all the different Pokemon that were available in that specific area. And sometimes you'd end up finding pretty cool stuff, like in Hoenn, where after encountering like 6,000 Poochyena, you finally encounter that 4% wilds, and you're really excited until you notice it's a male and you decide to run away again because ain't nobody wants a male Gardevoir. Number 11, the announcement period of the Generation 6 games. I was kind of getting out of Pokemon after Black and White because everyone I knew was getting out of it too, and the people told me I got too old for Pokemon as well, and I got really sad, and so I never bought Black and White 2, and I kinda gave up on it. But then everything changed when the Fairy generation attacked. It was around this time that I really discovered YouTube, and everyone was talking about the new Gen 6 games, and it got me really excited too, to the point that I got back into Pokemon again. And even though the Gen 6 games weren't all that great themselves, the hype around it on YouTube was definitely great enough to bring me back into this franchise. And to start my own YouTube channel back in the day. But we don't talk about that one. Let's just move on to number 12. I love that a couple of weeks ago, when I was breeding for a perfect IV Minchow, because Minchow is one of my favorite Pokemon, I randomly got a shiny Minfu instead, which is just amazing because even though it doesn't have perfect IVs, it has almost perfect IVs. A beneficent nature, a very useful egg move, and the right ability that I wanted, which still was a 50-50% chance at that point, by the way. So I Eevee trained this girl up, and she now definitely is one of the favorite Pokemon that I own, even though Shiny Minchow isn't all that special, to be honest. Number 13, the Pokémon Adventures manga. I'm not the biggest manga reader out there, but Pokémon Adventures is definitely in the top 3 of my favorite manga of all time. Which actually isn't that impressive when you realize I've only read 3 different manga in total, but not the point. Unlike the Pokemon anime, the manga is pretty intense, where yes, people use Pokemon battling for sport, but also in real life fights, where you don't aim to defeat your opponent's Pokemon, but instead to attack the opposing trainer themselves. So there's a lot more strategy, because not only do you have to order your Pokemon to attack, you must also make sure they are able to defend you from the opposing Pokemon who are trying to take you out yourself. That, plus just an interesting story, beautifully drawn manga panels, and the main character who isn't just an idiot who loses to a level 5 Snivy while using a Pikachu that could take out a legendary. It's definitely a story I would recommend to anyone who's interested. But before you do, let me finish this video with the last 2 entries, such as number 14, the fact that there was only one evolutionary line for the Ghost and Dragon type in Generation 1. This might seem like an odd choice because diversity is great, and I agree, but can you imagine how cool and unique Pokemon like that would be in this day and age? Like, what if they added a digital typing and only gave it to Porygon in its evolutions, meaning you barely got to see it during a playthrough, but can definitely catch you off guard when you eventually do. And finally, number 15, the fact that there are so many things to love about Pokémon. This might be a bit of a cheesy answer, but I think it's just really cool that there are just so many different things to love about this one franchise. Like, you and I might both be great Pokemon fans, but might both be fans for completely different reasons. So please, if you're still watching this, which I really appreciate because this video is getting quite long, definitely subscribe for more if you're interested. But let me know in the comments what it is you love about Pokemon. Give me 15 reasons, give me 151 reasons, or just give me one reason, because I would love to hear what you like so much about this one franchise we like to call Pokemon. Link to Birdkeeper Toby's video with his 151 reasons down in the description below in case you're interested, and I'll see you in my next video.